I'm James, and this is Sword and Keyboard. Today, I'm going to be talking about a game that's come up with very little warning and a little bit of fanfare, but notably the more than 1 million players so far within a couple of days of launch, and that is Apex Legends. So Apex Legends was launched 3 days ago now, with very little warning of any sort. And to be fair, I'm kind of impressed that they managed it, but at the same time, not super surprised. Given Respawn's recent history with Titanfall 2 not being particularly well received, what they've probably done quite nicely there is not gone for the classic hype train move and gone with a more honest approach of letting the game speak for itself. Now, I'm aware there will have been a ton of horrible corporate marketing behind that, most likely influenced in some amount by EA, but I think they've done well here. And well, that'll show well for the figures of number of people who've already picked it up. But yeah, they haven't managed to build this horrible narrative where everyone gets too excited for the game and not many people end up buying it, which did happen with Titanfall 2. And to be fair, I was a massive fan of Titanfall and Titanfall 2. Both were very good games, and I don't give that title away particularly easily to most of the things published by EA. But they did a great job, and although the sales might not match up, I'll always give a vote to any developer who has pretty much a 100% hit rate, in my opinion. So, despite some initial skepticism, having seen what was effectively just another Battle Royale game in the long list of somewhat boring Battle Royale games now, um, I'm actually quite happy with what I've played so far. So, let's get into it. So, running through the tutorials, etc., I was kind of skeptical from the off. It did very much seem like just another off the shelf game, but it does have some interesting feeling to it. A lot of people have pointed out Overwatch as a strong influence, and yeah, I'll wholeheartedly agree there. You also see when you see the variety of powers, it very much felt a little bit like Destiny to me, but that's possibly just because every game with abilities will look like that if you play it too much. Um, Besides that, it seems there's a little bit of character building here, very much like the somewhat underplayed Agents of Mayhem, which good game, but not enough staying power. But it certainly had a nice feel to it. And they have kind of, with Apex Legends, they've kind of hooked me on that. They've got a reason for the situation to arise, unlike the likes of Fortnite and PUBG, which seem to just exist and you are just killing each other for no good reason. So it is nice to have a Battle Royale game that actually seems to have at least some reason for you to be there. I mean, the classic Death Game TV show isn't really much of a complex, engaging storyline, but that's not what anyone's here for. You're here for a free to play Battle Royale experience, and that's what you're going to get. So I will jump in a little bit on the one thing left that worries me a bit about the game, which is it is a standard, the whole loot crate system, which, frustrating as it is being a normal thing now, I can at least accept it in this sort of scenario. When you've got a free-to-play game, you do need to make some money back, and at least it seems to be the case so far that you're on an almost purely cosmetic level, at least with these upgrades. You're not getting a pay to win with all the like massive guns or anything like that. So it's something. There is a little bit of a system going on to purchase additional characters, a la Rainbow Six Siege, but I'm not too fussed about that, as again, first impression sort of shows that you can purchase these using in-game currency anyway, so it's fine with me. I can kind of deal with that. It's not ideal. On a personal perspective, I do prefer purely cosmetic microtransactions in this sort of thing, if only to keep clean the whole competitive gameplay angle. But it's well within the bounds of what I consider acceptable. I'm just hoping that, given EA's recent history with microtransactions, we're going to get a good ending from this and not an utter collapse, as we've seen with the terrible job done with Battlefront 2 recently. But enough talk on this. The first thing I've noticed is that the great thing I have carried across from Titanfall is that flowing sense of movement. So it's not quite as free as the Titanfall with wall running and all the little boosts you can get here and there, which absolutely beautiful to play. But it's got just enough to stop the game becoming a little bit too chaotic as it would in these situations. Which leads down to the reason I'm currently maining Pathfinder. Given that extra bit of freedom that Zipline gives you, it's just a little bit of fun. So one of my big problems with a lot of the Battle Royale games is the slow pace they give and the sense of just dragging through. And admittedly, some people seem to enjoy that, that's fine. But with the likes of PUBG and Fortnite, I do find myself waiting to play the game rather a lot more than playing it. And I don't mean in terms of loading screens. I just kind of mean in terms of time spent exploring versus time just walking between objectives. It seems, and it might be unfair on the developers, it seems in those two games there's a lot more sparse scenery that you spend a lot of time running through. But on the plus side, Apex Legends I've actually quite enjoyed in that term. There doesn't seem to be that long in between going different areas. Given everything's designed to be done purely on foot. Now, there you do get a sense of scale to the map, but every time you sort of run over a new hill, there is something else there at least, where there's just a little shack. And it sort of gives you more of a sense that the game world is one continuous flowing scene, rather than, oh, here's this little place, and this little place, and this little place, all boxed together. I very much get that feeling when playing Fortnite. The world you do get there fundamentally is very similar to every other Battle Royale game out there. And there's a bunch of empty buildings, pretty much just shells. A little bit of extra scenery and stuff in there, but not too much. But you'll be sort of going from empty building to empty building, picking up your gear, then either running to set an ambush or find other people actively, depending on your choice of play style. It is pretty much what you'd expect in how you're going to be playing it. But I found there's a little more motion to everything. There's a little more movement. That might just be down to my choice of play style. But I found, even with a relatively small amount of combat, like there are some games I've played which have lasted less than 30 seconds for the entire round. And even in those situations, I'm getting some real solid enjoyment out of it. You get your heart pumping in that few seconds of like the raw adrenaline going. I find it difficult to describe, but there's that sense that you're trying to dive in there nice and quick to help your allies who are caught up in something, and you actually make real progress to that, rather than if you're a little bit too far away in some of the other Battle Royale games, you almost feel that you get the countdown to whether you might get near them as you slowly but inevitably fail to connect with them, and then they died, and you're done. Which, yeah, that's a bit of a frustration in all of those. On the subject of all of your allies dying horribly, I do quite like the multiple revive mechanic you've got going on, where there's got the nice standard, oh, they're down but they're not dead, get them back up sort of thing, but then having the recall type functionality where you can recover the banner from the corpse and get a dropship in to bring them in. It has a nice extra extra something. Because I think being on both sides of that, there's a nice reassurance that someone might actually be able to get you back playing, so you don't just instantly fail. Versus, on the other hand, there's also a beautiful, like, stressful situation when you're trying to recover people, trying to bring them back in, and you know there's someone following you. Like there's a game I don't have capture for where I'd managed to recover the tags for 2 of my allies, managed to get to the respawn node, only to suddenly hear footsteps, turn around, and it's fair, they managed to catch me before I caught them, but there was a sense of suspense in there that, just beautiful. And that little extra bit of suspense here and there can really add something to these games. So as you've already seen, the graphics are pretty damn nice. Worth noting now that there is a reduced graphics mode that I'm assured exists. All of this footage was captured on an Xbox One X, so not representative of that low graphics mode. I'm hoping to grab and play a little bit on the PC as well once the cross-platform support comes out. It's just down to who's online to play with, really, that I've picked the Xbox One to start with. But graphically, at least at this sort of fidelity, absolutely beautiful to play. It's when you get a little bit close to stuff, the textures blur out a bit, as you'd expect, but with the one exception, which I'll get to, I've absolutely loved all the environments. That does, however, fall down a little bit when you get close to water, but I'll forgive them that, because otherwise, absolutely beautiful game to play. So overall, is it worth it? I'd say certainly yes, given the free-to-play price point. Don't know if I'll be putting any extra cash into it. I did get some initial in-game currency from being an EA Access member, so that may have painted it a little bit there. But I'm still not sure if I'll ever actually put additional money down, but we'll see how it goes. I'll certainly be putting a bit of extra playtime into it. But just due to how much fun I've had so far with it, even dropping just a single game in now and then, it's enough to just get your blood pumping, get that entertainment that you want out of a short gameplay session, as well as having played a few longer sessions. There's enough variety and enough things going on to keep you interested, so it's a nice balance there. I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into my feelings on the game. If you agree or disagree or have any thoughts, please drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you get a chance to watch some of my other videos, and have a good evening.